Now, without any further ado, we will begin with the first panel. The discussion is about CXO perspectives on digital transformation, accelerating the change in NBFC's FinTech. Please join me in welcoming our moderator for this session, Balaji Viswanathan, MD and CEO, Expleo Solutions Limited. Ladies and gentlemen, as our moderator joins us on the stage, can we welcome him with a big round of applause? Well, in no particular order, inviting the panel speakers. First up, we've got Mr. Dipesh Karki, CTO, LenDenClub. Next, I'd like to invite Mr. Vivek Kant, CTO, Bajaj Finserv Markets. Come on, louder claps, everyone. Next panel member, Mr. Nandkishore Purohit, CDO, IIFL Securities. Joining us next, Mr. Siva Kumar Nandipati, CDO, FedFina Financial Services. Next, we've got Mr. Sandeep Chordia, Joint President and Business Head, Kotak Securities Limited. Then I'd like to invite Mr. Gautham Sinha, SVP-Technology, Loan Tap Financial Technologies. Joining us next with the panel discussion, Mr. Ashish Tewari, SVP and Head of Engineering, Niyo Solutions. And the final member to join the panel discussion, we've got Mr. Gaurav Arora, Head of BFSI Vertical, Yotta Infrastructure.
So maybe we start with so much of excitement that I don't need a mic, then probably by the time I end it, I'll probably need a mic, I guess. We have a very elite panel. If not anything else, by the time we go out, you can actually get a few loans for sure. Apart from that, you can also get some digital solutions loaded on your mobile phones to figure out how to get more loans. Without spending much time, this is a very, very interesting topic, and thanks so much, gentlemen. And now I feel I'm probably outclassed or outplayed here, with the kind of panel that we have got here. I'm not going to get into too much of details. We'll start with first in the last 18 to 24 months. I think this is pandemic-induced digitalization, or what you would call it as a new era of digitalization. I'll probably like to ask each one of you, not in any particular order, what is the single largest digital transformation that you have seen within your own businesses, and how do you think it has impacted the market and impacted your customers per se? So maybe start with you.
So that's an interesting question, Balaji sir. So we started LenDenClub in 2015 August with an idea of both onboarding investors who are looking to invest and borrowers who are looking to get loans through a digital platform. Trust me, when we were doing this in 2015, both borrowers and investors were laughing at us. Who will give that money to a digital platform, right? Or if I reach out to a borrower saying, hey, you can take a loan from a digital platform, kya scam karne aaye ho kya aap log? These were kind of reactions that you used to get, right? But over the years, people started believing in this idea, hey, you could actually have no physical touch points with the customers, right? And yet you are able to either get a loan or make an investment, keep a good track of your investments, right? And understand how simple this product is, right? So I think the internet was one of the biggest contributors, is what I could say, right, at first. Post that, there was a lot of innovations in between, because P2P lending as such is just a framework that lies at the top of the current infrastructure, right, banking infrastructure, in order to facilitate these transactions. So right below us, we use banking infrastructure in order to give money from one place to another. So it's definitely safe and secure, right? And so bank has definitely helped us in bringing this innovation ahead. Post that, with the innovations of UPI, the game had changed a lot, right? We are also one of the significant contributors to the UPI-based transaction or the digital transactions almost on a real-time basis. Although there are a lot of regulatory frameworks in between that we have to abide by in order to ensure that the transaction is financially secure, right? The advancement of payment gateways, right? The use of the use of Aadhaar-based mandate registrations are some of the innovations that has changed India in terms of digital lending over the last 5 years, is what I would tell you. Thank you.
Right. So actually, very, very good question. And so when we started about 3.5 years ago, part of Bajaj Finserv Group, very esteemed, very large company, Bajaj Finance, Bajaj Allianz Life and General Insurance, very, very successful. We started as a fintech within our own group, primarily to reach out to customer base and distribute our group products digitally. About 2.5 years ago, just before the pandemic started, we decided that we want to become a marketplace. So we want to offer not just our group companies product, but onboard partners. Now, as soon as we decided and we started on that journey, a pandemic struck. And we had to do entire platform transformation from being a monoline to a marketplace. So just like, instead of selling our own products, we are selling, partners' products. So we went through a major digital transformation phase, also onboarded in last 2 years, 20 partners across large banks, in credit cards, unsecured and secured lending from likes of, Citibank, SBI cards, to Punjab National Bank, Home Finance, and so on. And all through remotely and all through digitally. So today, the digital integration with, we interact and integrate with very large number of banks and through various kinds of APIs and various kinds of technologies. And this entire journey has been done remotely. So it's a fantastic achievement as an industry that we were able to do, and the technology adoption that we saw across different partners was quite encouraging. And this changed that belief that digital is the future, and has been cemented in last 2 years, and has enabled us, and now we do pretty large business through our partners besides doing the business of our own group companies. And this has been the biggest transformation. And I think one learning out of last 2 years has been that future is ecosystems. And the times have gone where we can actually build a technology platform and just build a business on it. It's going to be ecosystem where we have many partners, including some of our competitors becoming our partners and all integration through technology. So that has been the biggest transformation in the last 2 years.
You asked a very fundamental question, Balaji. What has changed in last 2 years? For our industry, from a business perspective, last 2 years has been the best in decades. When things are good, people tend to become complacent. But in our case, there are 3 fundamental things which has happened, primarily from the digital perspective. As an industry and organization, we moved from organization-induced digitalization to customer-induced digitalization. That is a big shift. What it resulted? It resulted in digital being, earlier, digital was a department or channel in organization. It got converted into organization. Okay? And what it made, what it resulted in? It resulted in efficiencies. It resulted in we learning a lot about our customers. We were living in fool's paradise. We were living in an era where we know everything. When it turned from organization-induced to customer-induced digitalization, we realized that in last 20 years we have done nothing. Okay, so Sandeep was telling me while we were waiting that you have done a lot of good stuff in last 12 months. It is primarily because of customer-induced digitalization. Particularly in our industry, where growth has happened. We have seen a tipping point in our industry, and new investors are coming. The way we see investments and the way we have been seeing investment, both in terms of acquisition and engagement, has changed. And we have been able to deliver what all, and I'm not talking on my behalf, I'm talking on behalf of industry because it is common with industry. As an industry, what we have been able to deliver, primarily because of technology. So these are 3 fundamental things.
He has taken most of my points already, somehow. Anyway, one thing which I wanted to take it from NK and say some other stuff about what has changed on digital was all other departments are also closely involved with the digital department or tech departments to solve their problems. Sometimes they come with solutions earlier, 2 years back. Now they are coming with the problems. How can we solve it? And in our industry, the involvement of digital, starting from branding, where people will identify our company branches via Google, Facebook, till sourcing, and then onboarding of the customers, then their customer payments, even till the point of collections. Everything, the digital penetration has improved last 2 years. And I should say that digital has married the traditional or physical way of approach. I just wanted to mention the 3 nots are nothing but demonetization, geo, pandemic. With that, I would hand it over to Sandeep.
Yeah, thanks. So if I were to tell you, Balaji, there are different phases, right? Maybe you can say pre-COVID or in, let's say pbefore 2010, at least in broking, it used to be physical world, okay? When people will call and will place the order. Then we moved to something called phygital, I will say, where basically people are sometime physical, sometime digital kind of a thing. Now I see the phase which I will call it as digital, which is more of digital, less of physical. So just to give the perspective in broking, now almost for Kotak Securities, at least more than 90% volumes, clients do it themselves. It's done by them. Mobile volumes have grown 5x in just last 1 year, thanks to the market as well. So markets have been doing good, options volume has been doing good, and that is reflected overall, I think, in the industry trend. But I think COVID has accelerated this phase of digital transformation with client being comfortable doing all their transactions on their own. What they want is a superior experience. At least in broking, they expect platform should never go down. So it should be available 24/7, and they should be able to put the orders, all risk validation should happen, and the trade should go through. That is the customer's expectation, and I think a lot of work has to happen in the back end for that to happen. And at least in Kotak, we have been able to move at the right point of time. I will not say it was COVID, no COVID, whatever, but I think COVID accelerated that phase of digital transformation for us, where we were able to move from the old world or the traditional world to the new world, where everything is now moving from on-prem to cloud. We are moving from monolithic architecture to the microservice kind of architecture, and probably trying to move towards agile way of working rather than the waterfall way of working. And I think we are bearing those fruits now of weekly shipping. So what we used to do, take a month to ship a new version, now happens almost in a week. And I think we have the ability to even do it per day also if we wish to. So that is what I think has started happening, I will say, post-COVID as a part of a digital acceleration as such. Thanks.
Hi. Our organization started almost 5.5 years back with a digital lending platform, right? When we say digital lending platform, near digital journey, right? So what has changed in the last 2 years during the pandemic, right? We were thinking a lot. And what has changed is to a great extent is the customer acquisition, right? So how do you acquire a customer with ease, right? How do you offer a right product and services when customer comes to you, right? And you analyze the customer at every step, you give a product and services, and with much of the collaboration with your fintech partners or the banks. So the entire ecosystem should be enabled for, say, doing a right kind of customer acquisition and doing a right risk assessment, right? So the entire journey has to become a seamless one, right? So we had acquired this platform, and on this platform, right, we have made some of those parts very easily for customer, right? When we do a collaboration with our partners, right, it's the right sort of product and services, and every set of product and services, when customer comes to us, can be given to them, right? So this is what entire transformation journey has changed. At the same time, the most important part we have been doing earlier, right, to undo some of those parts, right? Some elimination has happened. That why we are doing this type of process. Let's go and eliminate that, right? So elimination has become a big part of the customer, I would say, digital transformation, right? So along with elimination, I would say automation, AI, ML, the right journey has actually started.
Yeah. Hi. Yeah, so see, we started our journey around 6 years back, and we wanted to launch a new bank around 6 years back, right? And when we reached out to the banks, I think none of the banks were ready to outsource their APIs, primarily because of 2 reasons. One, the infrastructure was not that great, you know, and the other, I think there was a mindset also, because they thought that this is our, you know, core, and why should we outsource this? And that is when we had to move to a prepaid business when we started, and we launched, you know, our prepaid cards. The other business also we did on the prepaid. I think the digital transformation has helped us, where banks have their mindset changed. You know, now so many banks are ready to partner with neobanks. So the digital transformation has happened on the bank side as well, while a lot of fintechs have come in. So that is one big digital transformation where the banks are very open to do any integrations because they understand that their niche is more of a banking product, and the niche of acquiring the customers is with neobanks. So one, that is a lot of digital transformation on the bank side. Now during COVID, what happened is that the customers started moving towards neobank because customers were not willing to reach to a bank physically. They wanted to have distance because of COVID and other stuff, and that is where I think we got a lot of boom. Like COVID has helped us in that way. It was a blessing for us in disguise that customers move towards neobanking experiences. And now I think customers with Gen Z, millennial customers, they just want speed, and that they understand that they can only get with neobanks. So I think those are digital transformations, not only in fintech world, but I think banks has also changed a lot in last few years.
Thanks, Ashish. Morning, everybody. So I think it's very interesting when I hear all of them talking about what has changed in last 2 years. For Yotta, the company I represent, right? We were born in pandemic. We are a very new company. And yeah, building large data center parks, offering classic co-location and cloud services. So all of them are my prospective customers, right? Yeah. So as I said, we were born in pandemic, right? As they say, when it came to IT infrastructure, right? The pandemic did not break the IT infrastructure. It exposed a broken system, actually. So what we have seen is tons of prospects talking to us, trusting us with their infrastructure and cloud services. So it has been extremely busy times for Yotta, where we have onboarded close to 300 customers, in little less than 2 years. So that's our story, basically. So no wonder we are part of essential services, as we call it, right? There were a time when, when these stickers came, during the tight lockdown, you have to put stickers. We don't need to put those stickers any longer, right? So we are essential parts. So as Satya Nadella, we keep listening to industry leaders, mention that from Microsoft perspective, right? They have seen 2 years worth of digital transformation in 2 months. On a much smaller scale, this is exactly what we have seen with our ecosystem of customers and prospects, where they want to trust an outsourcer, where we can manage their whole infrastructure seamlessly, while they keep on focusing on what my friend from IIFL said, core customer-induced, experiences, and so on and so forth. Yeah, that's it from my end.
Thank you so much. Actually, I'm probably going to improvise the next question because I was initially thinking that who's driving the innovation, whether it's the regulator or the customers. But I'll probably try and improvise the question a little more. NK actually mentioned it's customer-induced. And considering that you're all part of the NBFC FinTech and infra space, not the traditional banks. I know in the traditional banks, innovation was driven more by the regulation, not by the customer. You guys are actually more closer to the customer. So how do you think that the customer interests and the regulator interests are balanced in your business? Maybe we can start with you.
Yeah. So again, I'll take last 2 years story. Before last 2 years, there were 3 stakeholders. One was regulator, who was a no-no for everyone. Organization, who always wanted to serve customers and was afraid of regulator. But what interesting thing has happened, and it happens in family also, when there is a fight in family and when there is a crisis in family, all the members of family come together to take care of that crisis. So that is exactly what has happened. In last 2 years, when you said traditional bank, I have 15 years, I've spent 15 years in bank, and I've seen the banking world. Banking regulator has also changed. So now, one good thing which has happened, at least in our country, is that all 3 are working towards the same goal. Okay? Yes, every industry, anything which happens is for the customer, by the customer, but in our experiences in last more than 2 years, our regulator has been very proactive. Okay? The entire regulations which they brought, be it in terms of helping us acquire customers in less than 3 minutes, to provide security to the customer transactions, and as early as T+1 settlements which they have brought. So regulator has been proactive, helping. It's about the mindset with the customer and organization, how I see regulator. If I see regulator as somebody who's blocking my growth, I would keep on cribbing it. But last 3 years, last 2.5 years, and I think all my friends would agree to that, be it infrastructure. Okay, like Gaurav said, there were times when we all were against cloud, okay, data privacy and all that. When we all were faced with no situation, we went running to him that, okay, we were wrong. Let us brush under the carpet everything we were thinking. Now let us embrace it. So it's more about our mindset. It's more about what we look from a regulator perspective, and all three are one.
So, in fact, although I'm the new kid in the block, right? But when it came to P2P lending, right, this is one concept that tried doing well but could not fare well in the global ecosystem, right? However, in India, it has been amazing, right? And thanks to the regulators, that we have been so much disciplined when it comes to bringing innovations in and around P2P lending, right? We started with this idea, and most of the players, the early players in this P2P lending space started in and around the early or mid of 2015. And within 2 years, we started getting response from the RBI as customers started adopting it, right? So, in fact, to answer to your first question itself, right? It's always the ideator who pushes an idea, and there are customers who start believing in that idea and starts embracing it, right? And then there are regulators who would check the adoption of that idea and then evaluate, okay, if this is going to be something, you know, a deer of a mass, then I think me as a regulator need to ensure that my customers' interest and my innovators' interest are protected well. So they have simply played a role of a good father figure in the industry when it comes to regulating the industry, regulating the segment, right? So when we started with P2P lending itself, early in 2017, they said, hey, if a customer as a borrower wants to take a loan, you can lend them up to 10 lakhs rupees in the entire P2P lending ecosystem, right? Likewise, if an investor wishes to invest, should not invest more than 10 lakh rupees. But after that, we were reporting our data on a monthly basis to the RBI, and they started observing it. And within the span of next 2 years, right, they came with another relaxation in the regulations, saying, hey, I think the investors are making good returns, so why don't you increase it to 50 lakhs, right? So such are the proactive responses that we're getting from the regulators as of now, and I'm sure this is going to take it to the next level, right? We've been doing so many good experiments in and around it. The regulators proactively come to us and ask us whether what you're doing is, well regulated or not, where you have taken care of AML and everything, right? We show it to them, and they're pretty much happy about it, right? If they have some critical feedback, they're prudent about it. They don't think twice in order to tell it, right? And now that there's a FinTech department set up with the RBI, right? They have been much more proactive than before, right? We don't have to reach out to them. They come to us now, right? And in fact, this was the case with P2P, but now with BNPL prospering, right? There's regulations coming sooner or later in and around it. There's regulations around digital bank coming sooner or later, right? So I believe regulators have a tremendous role to play in order to ensure that the economy runs well, right?
The innovation is driven from regulators as well as customers. As I think, we covered that regulators have changed a lot over a period of time. I still recall that when you had to convert your account to a full KYC account, you open a bank account, then you had to visit a bank branch, right, for doing that. And then slowly the regulations changed that, okay, now you can do Aadhaar XML, and then you can do that. Eventually it's changed to Aadhaar OTP plus CKYC. Now there is a video KYC. So if you see, now you can open an account and then convert it to a full KYC account sitting in a sofa in your house. You don't have to go anywhere. So the regulators have brought in a lot of innovation, which has helped many, digital companies definitely to, ride on top of that. So that is one part of it. The other part is that the customers' demands also have changed over a period of time. I think we were just discussing before this call that like someone was coming out of his house and he's just carrying mobile phone now, right? So we were talking about that. So similar thing is happening, with all the Gen Z customers. If you see, they are not habituated to this card technology. Many of them might have not have seen also card, right? And they are moving towards more other devices. You have to find them on social platform. We also talked about phygital to digital. So a lot of transformations have happened because, there used to be a lot of hoardings. If you have to do any marketing, you have to put, somewhere you go into some big organization, you put your, store there. But now everything, like if you have to get the customers, you have to go to Facebook, right? You have to go to Instagram. And there is where you tap your customers, and you have to find the right customer segment, right? Even if you have to calculate your CAC, there are so many tools to help that. So I think a lot of digital transformation is driven from both from customers as well as, regulators have helped us a lot. I think they are being very flexible while they are moving slowly, but at least the good part is that they are moving towards that. And I think with the new fintech department, as our friend said, I think definitely things are going to change. Now we are talking about digital currency also. That is what, I think a lot of things will change drastically with digital currency coming in picture. The way the transaction is happening in India, I think we have to see how it is adapted. But yeah, I think regulators are really helping us in moving towards much more advanced technology.
Cloud, yes, but when you talk to customers, right? So you have to get into conversations. What does it mean for them, right? So many a times they have a different view of a cloud, and then once you get to the bottom of it, right? What we have realized with many fintech companies, they are actually looking for a cloud, but want to save costs, want to be effective, want all the elasticity like an AWS and Azure resources. So it's not that easy, those conversations, right? But what we have realized is the hybrid is the way to go, right? Where you manage all the critical pieces of your business workloads as part of your private cloud, and rest everything can move to a public cloud. In fact, during my very recent interactions with some customers, they are now who have moved to the private cloud recently. Now they are talking about, let's go back to public cloud, right? I think we can do it. And this I'm talking about very large BFSI organizations. So within cloud, I think I've seen, we are seeing an evolution, right? And going back and forth, I was having a conversation before the panel discussion with Dipesh, right? In terms of what kind of cloud strategies does he have? And I think that's where it's never, end of it all once you take it. It's evolving, right? The businesses are evolving, so will your strategy. Yeah, of course. I mean, see, whenever you talk about, everybody talks about firstly customer experience, right? So fascinating thing about customer experience is it needs insights. And once you talk about insights, it requires personalization. Once you talk about personalization, it requires voluminous data, right? And that's where my organization takes a multi-pronged approach. When customers host with us, we need to ensure that we have all the certifications in place, having built the world's largest tier 4 data center facility. And secondly, to provide them application level security, right? So as part of our ecosystem, we have partnered with certain best of breed organizations where, especially from a BFSI perspective, we talk about money laundering, anti-money laundering services, compliance as a service, and so on and so forth. So that's something really resonating in the marketplace, where I can be the one-stop shop when it comes to both conversations with customer experience as well as data security. Everything is taken care of. Yeah. So we are offering this as a service to our customers.
I'll probably come back to Sandeep. Gaurav talked about the customer experience. NK also talked about customer-induced innovation. How do you see the balancing between what a customer's demand is vis-a-vis security, the hyper-personalization which everybody is looking for, particularly in a highly regulated market, and also a very, I would say that at least the investing market is still small, and they all have a certain aspiration in mind, which is different from what some of these other, other fellow panelists are doing as well. So how do you see that playing out? How do you balance between the customer demand vis-a-vis what the security requirements are, and at the same time making sure that the organization and the customer benefits out of it?
This has to be given on a need-to-know basis. That is what is important. So I think if you take care of those aspects, I don't think there is a challenge in giving the personalized solutions to the customers as such. So without divulging who is that customer, if I am able to make use of that data, even if I put it, let's say Google Analytics on that, Google need not know whether it's Balaji or whether it is Sandeep. It has the data, it can get that information, and basis that you can do the hyper personalization for the customers, and to that extent there is no issue as far as the regulations are concerned. So I don't say that should be the challenge as such.
Sure.
Yeah, so so because as I explained, since we are a marketplace and we offer pretty much every financial product under the sun. Now, for us, personalization and usage of data is very critical, primarily because of the lending and our ability to qualify a partner's product or our own product for a customer, their credit profile. We use a lot of non-traditional data as well to build the credit profile. As well as we need to do hyper-personalization because we would want to show customer what they need rather than showing them everything. We have pretty much a lot of products and partners to show them. So we want to understand more about the customer. Now, data privacy and the security is something we believe that it is not a hindrance. It is not something we should do because regulator is asking us to do. It is we should do because it's an implicit ask for the customer. It's in customers' interest that their data is private. So we need to be ethical with their data. We need to be private, and we need to keep the customer informed and consented that yes, we are asking you for your certain data and certain non-traditional data. When they download our mobile app, we ask certain permissions, but we explain it to them that what their data is going to be used for and how it is going to benefit them. And we take their consent, explicit consent, and we use that data. So we don't believe that it's two different things. It's actually the same thing. Data privacy, security is in customers' benefit even if they don't make an explicit ask for it. So we need to design a system so we are able to ensure that the data is private, and if when the data privacy bill comes in, I'm sure it will come sooner than later. We need to be ready with all the compliance with the regulation, including right to forget. So we need to build a system, and we need to keep all the security aspect as a primary concern for the customer. And I think this is the new word where data privacy, security becomes the foremost customer, and as customers become more aware, this becomes more an explicit ask from the customer, and more trust you can build, more they will give you more business.
So I'll probably ask a slightly more controversial, bit in the entire piece. Since you run an ecosystem, with multiple partners, the same with NK as well, and the same with Ashish as well. It's imperative for all of us to try and grow our business, right?
Yes.
So the customer data is the fuel for the growth. And how do you make sure that the information that you are actually having of one particular customer, how well you are able to use it for cross-selling and upselling and using of that particular customer information, because that's key for your business as well. I know that we all ask for permissions when you download an application and other stuff, but at the end of the day, as a common user, I'm sure many of us will know that you basically say yes, right? So from a regulatory perspective, yeah, it's done, but how do you make sure that it's not used beyond the customer's consent or beyond what the customers want?
No, absolutely. One aspect is very important as, customers' PII data is absolutely private. So we have to, there is no question about it. So use data, and you use data for the reasons that are, I just say, it's not just compliance, it's also ethics. You ensure that the data is used in an ethical way, and of course, in the customer's interest. So customer's interest, you have to keep the customer interest as the primary, because I think our group's name is taken with a lot of ethics, and we believe that that is very
specifically about you.
And it's very, very important that we build that trust with the customer, because security is something, it's like once the trust is broken, you cannot repair it. So you have to design your systems in such a way that the trust is implicit.
I'm not specifically referring to you, but what about you, NK?
Yeah, so it's very aptly said that when you want to grow, and you want to grow in a collaborated manner, in order to gain something, you tend to lose something. And if losing is customer data, then it is very serious, because leave aside our organizations and our professional lives, we are also customer to few organizations. And we also get bothered by if our data is. So for me, this is not a regulatory problem or ethical problem. how we consider it and how we have traveled this path, because as of today, we have the largest FinTech universe in our industry. Okay? How we have tried, I may not say that we have achieved it, how we have tried and we think can be a path is how you integrate. The secret sauce doesn't lie in with whom you integrate. The secret sauce doesn't lie in whether I have a consent or not. The secret sauce lies in what mechanism I use to integrate, what technology I use to integrate, how much I integrate and how much I don't integrate. And even if I am integrating, okay, whether I keep a track of what is happening on the other side. Okay, that is where we have built our ecosystem. Okay, so earlier when we were integrating with various FinTech partners, it was very loose integrations. We used to pass on data over XML, over a web redirection. That ball is sent. I don't know what is being done. So what we did is we created a very robust, okay, open API platform. So whether within organization or outside, if somebody is interacting with us, they are interacting in a very secured manner. All the consents are everything everybody does. I also know what is flowing on real-time basis. Okay, I try to know what is being done with it. Okay, but there I have a limited control. But this is what we thought that becomes our noble duty to at least ensure in our control that how it is being done.
With deep, what is happening, we are doing innovating every day, right? With extreme data mining and all, we are finding out product and services each and every day, finding out how to offer to customers. A regulator is keeping the pace of all this to a great extent, but not everything can be covered, right? In the entire flow, where the data is going, where data is getting, regulator can keep track of some of those, and later point of time, regulator can come back on that, right? But it becomes the organizational responsibility, right, to ensure that this is being captured and every time this is being ensured that it is not shared haywire, right? You have to see it is in the purview of localization. The data has to be local. Local doesn't mean only on the cloud, right, not moving it outside the country, but also on the purview of organization. If you are sharing it with a consent to another organization, you know what is being done over there, right? This is very, very important security aspect, which is, I'm sure all the fintechs and all the banks are taking care of that. So it becomes an organizational responsibility to a great extent.
And as part of a successful retail bank, an NBFC of a successful retail bank, how do you manage the conflict? Or
Hi. Yeah. See, I think the way you have said it, right? 10 years back, cloud itself is very tough stuff. We would not even go there. I would like to reiterate the same example, just vice versa, traditional to digital. In case if you are taking an Aadhaar card signed Xerox copy from customer and storing it in some file, versus we are storing the Aadhaar card which has, Aadhaar number collected from the customer in encrypted form in Aadhaar vault, which is more secure. While with hyper personalization, we are, I think both, it's getting pace also. When you have said example about regulators and customers, when consumer behavior is an accelerator to the car, I would say regulator is something like a brake. The reason is, if you don't have brakes, you can't drive car faster. And with pandemic, regulator has introduced a lot of stuff which has made it as a power brakes. That's it.
Great. That's a fantastic analogy. Coming from a technology industry, I'll do injustice if I don't ask this question to all of you. With so many changes that are happening, and Sandeep talked about more agile-based, transformation and projects. What do you see as, the biggest challenge for your digital transformation programs? Because technology is the same technology. You still have the same kind of people who are developing the technology as well. So what do you see as the challenge that you have faced for accelerating your digital program?
So I think the challenge which I will say, I think it's the same challenge whether it's a digital world or the physical world. I think it's important for all your people to understand what has to be done and why it has to be done. So they should be very clear with, let's say, what is the vision of the organization, what is the North Star you want to achieve. And then how part they will figure out, but what I think has to be told to them very, very clearly. And it has to be a regular meetings with all stakeholders put together, because there are different stakeholders. It's not just tech who is in charge of it. You need tech, customer experience, legal, compliance. Everyone have to be on the board on what you want to do, I think. And that is where I think the maximum challenge is. If you are able to figure out that and tell the people that this is what we want to achieve, I think they will figure out. The other challenge which I see generally happening, if you're not close to your customers, you may probably try to solve the problem which may not be the problem in first place. So I think it's very important for the people to be on the ground, be in touch with the customers, understand exactly what is their pain point, and then keep going back to them and keep checking how is it doing, etc. So I think that is where the whole thing is, that this entire feedback loop which we talk about, that first to understand what is the customer requirement, then create some solution, check with the customers whether this is what something which appeals to them will work for them. And if you get the answer yes, then actually you start working, start developing. And then, as I said, as a part of Agile, if you can ship it faster, then the feedback loop also will be faster, that customers will give you the reactions faster. And that is where I think the thing is, that can you keep these cycles very, very short in terms of what is the customer pain point, solving it, and check whether it is really working, not working, or do you want to make any tweaks. That is what I think is important. If you can achieve this balance of being on ground, understand the customer pain point, and second, from organization perspective, look at what is that you want to achieve, and keep checking every now and then, are we on the track? And if the stakeholders are taken into account, I think the things should not go wrong. But generally, I have seen this is where the things go wrong otherwise.
Where do you see the technology playing a part in that? Where do you see them playing a part, and how has it been in the last few years?
Yeah, so I think the things are changing. Earlier, the tech was treated more as, I'm telling you, do this. And now it is changing to the tech actually being involved as a part of business. They know exactly what is the vision of the organization. And I will put it as tech at a core kind of a thing, where tech has started driving. So there's a joke which goes in the companies that while we may call it as a broking and all that, finally we are a technology company and we are in the business of compliance. So that is what it is. So one end is the compliance, other end is everything is tech. As I told you, if my 90% volumes are happening online, then I have to give that superior customer experience to the customer. It has to be the UI, UX has to be very, very intuitive to the customer. And the tech design product, I think this combination is the one which will be responsible to, as I said, understand what is the customer requirement and then come back and see how do I solutionize that. So that is, I think the tech will play a very, very important role finally in achieving what the business wants to achieve as such.
In terms of challenge for digitization, I think, and I believe for neobanks, the revenue model as of now is only what accounts we are creating with the bank. I think the challenge in terms of digitization, if we get a digital banking license in India, I think that is what we are looking forward for, like we have in Europe and US. So if that is there, then I think neobanks will have much more a larger play to do. And there is a lot of unbanked population still in India. We will be able to reach out to them. So I believe that is the current challenge in terms of, if you ask me, the biggest challenge for being more digitized for any neobank in India.
So in primary challenge, right? In fact, like I said about tech-driven, it's solution-driven companies, right? Which everybody is aligning towards, and seeing how to align with the senior management company objective to achieve that. And technology plays a great role in that altogether. Primary challenge we see is adhering to digitization is to identify the value where it is causing a value and design that part of the solution rather than changing the entire thing, developing from scratch, right? What we are seeing is working out is a micro solution, right? We call it in terminology micro services, right? But micro solution is what exactly working to a great extent, where the core solution remains the same. On top of that, things are either we are developing or taking from our partners, right? The other challenge which we see definitely is accessing to the right resource, which has become a big trouble in last couple of months or so. So we have to see how the operating model, right, which will be evolving, working from home, working from different locations. All these things are going on, but yes, accessing to the right skill set is definitely a big challenge these days, which we are working out.
So I'll just add one more perspective to all my co-panelists, right? I think one of the biggest challenge that any digital platform here, right, or any digital financial institutions that are here, right, that we're facing is the mindset change, right? We came from an era wherein we were so used to interacting with a lot of people face to face, right? And we were to make our decisions based on the face value, based on the words that they used to say. From there, taking this entire paradigm shift towards a pure digital technology, this is definitely a challenging game, right? Although we say that, even today, about 40 CR or so customers use smartphones in order to access content digitally, right? There are a lot of OTT contents evolving every other day in order to ensure that the customer comes to a digital space to understand more and more about what are the offerings that you get digital compared to physical, and how is it more prolific for you in terms of speed of delivery, in terms of cost, in terms of security, and a lot of other aspects, right? But still, there is a reasonable amount of customers out there, right, who are yet to come to this digital space, for which innovators like us are working towards the financial inclusions, right? So the biggest challenge is bringing those customers to a digital space, right? And the likes of pandemic has definitely helped us in bringing certain segment of it. But even till today, right, the biggest fight that we have is with the physical currency compared to what we're calling ourselves as competitor, right? We are not competitors, we are just parallel players here trying to penetrate that economy and fight against the physical money that people are having inside the pocket. So I think that's one challenge that I would highlight.
So I think there's one challenge which I have, and I'm sure others also have, they're not saying it, is the lack of technology talent. Technology talent is the biggest challenge I have today. And if there are any Java or Angular developers, we need you. Okay. Okay. So I know everybody has that challenge. They're not saying it, but that is the biggest challenge right now. So with the sudden digital adoption during pandemic, the need for technology talent, and especially India being significantly higher in terms of digital maturity as compared to Western world, the need and the depth of technology talent that we need in the industry is lacking. That is the biggest challenge. The second thing, which was a challenge, which to some extent we are trying to transcend, is breaking the organizational barriers between business and technology. So we are trying in our organization to ensure that how the digital solutions are built, the end business users, which means the field force, the sales guys, the call center agents, they have a say in it. Their views, their beliefs, their ideas are taken into it. On the other hand, the developers, the engineers who build the solutions, they understand the business. They understand how the business solutions are used, what business objectives are, what profitability is, what conversion is, what drop-offs are, and they are able to then build a solution with the actual users in mind, not the BRD written on a document. So I think that breaking those barriers and getting everybody right from the a guy sitting in the branch to the engineer sitting writing code, they exactly have the same customer in mind and building the same one solution for the customer. That I think is the biggest challenge, and I think we have done a lot to transcend that.
I think expanding to what Sandeep mentioned, everybody should know what they are doing. It's also important to know why they are doing it. That's when that passion comes into play.
Yeah, can I have the question, please? If you are last, you tend to forget the question.
So the question was, what are the technology-related challenges, and what do you see as part of your project implementation, considering the amount of digital programs that every one of you are running? What are the kind of challenges that you see in rolling out those technologies?
Okay. So thanks. According to me, we have reached a stage where technology is no longer a challenge. Okay. And I 60% agree to what he said, is that there is a challenge in terms of the mindset with the incumbent organizations. I'm not referring to the digital native organizations, but organizations like us, which are incumbent in nature, which have seen businesses grow only through a non-technological way. There is a requirement, or the biggest challenge which any technological implementation poses is the mindset change. Third, we have used the word agile with technology a lot, okay? And people need to understand that every process has its own time. And more, the entire organization understand and adopt technology and its processes, then only the organization. These are very, very inherent technological challenges. Challenge is not about, there are challenges. These are limited challenges in terms of I not getting the resource. Let us create it. Okay, somebody is coming out of when somebody comes out of an engineering college, he or she doesn't know what we all require. Okay, so TCS has created it, Infosys has created it. If I want to create it, let me create it. Okay, and nothing is ready-made in the world. Okay, so what challenges which industry is facing across is this. Third and the most important, technology is not what we see. You see in organizations, people see something on Twitter or something on Instagram or something on somebody's app and wants to replicate it exactly. That why can't my login be equivalent to Facebook? Okay, why you log me out? So, and they pose these questions to technology guys that, hey, Facebook guys are smarter than you. Okay, so this mindset is a very important aspect. And the bigger aspect which we all need to understand is, I am business and you are technology. As long as we do, technology would be marred with challenges, whatever you achieve. If business becomes, and he rightly said, if business becomes technology and technology becomes business. So I'll tell you, I'll take another 30 seconds to explain this point. We were having a first round of discussion with a Big Four consultant who is there to help us build a vision for the business and suggest timeline for process improvements. Okay, so consultant was there, my strategy team was there, my business head was there, our CEO was there, I was there, and we started with one more entrant in that room was our technology head. Because if he doesn't know what we are thinking, how we can expect him to develop it feasibly or unfeasibly, okay, 6 months down the line.
So my experience, whatever I say is more around my conversations with chief digital officers or the likes of the panelists out here, right? I think the biggest stumbling block, what I keep hearing, and I've experienced it myself as an employee, right? It's the culture. You can get fanciest of the technologies if you don't have adoption, which takes painstakingly time. So look at what technologies are looking to achieve, and this I'm talking about the most progressive ones I talk to, right? They want to bring consumer-like experiences to the workplace, right? Why are we very comfortable, logging on to a Netflix or even ordering a cab on Uber, right? These are very intuitive experiences, right? Touch of the button. It will be great if you can replicate those experiences at the workplace, right? Can you make it fun, right? So I know a lot of technologies who are trying to do that across the business functions, be it business management, operations management, employee experience, and beyond. But where it fails is the culture of the company. And if you give them more than one option, it'll fail. You have to, bring it down their throats. Yeah, has been my experience.
Hi, it's indeed a power-packed panel. Thanks for enlightening us. My name is Bharat and I run marketing for Expleo. You all talked about opportunities and challenges. Perhaps a personal question that you might want to take or maybe answer it from CXO's perspective. Where do you think that CXOs should park their budget when it comes to fulfilling their digital endeavors? Is it to keep the lights on for whatever you have in system? Are you going to spend it on innovation or probably find Java or Angular skills?
No, I think, I'll answer from a CXO perspective, and, what our CEO also says. We make our business more profitable so that we can invest more into technology. So technology, the investment into technology comes from our profitability. So we make business more, profitable, earn more money, acquire more customers, and invest that back into technology, which makes it, it a virtuous cycle. So that's the only way to crack it, no other way. Otherwise, if you think it's a fixed pie and you try to, divide it, it's not going to be enough.
So, if you have to talk of budgets, or I will just say overall what the organization should be doing. So I will just say, if you're, let's say I'm just putting a hypothetical number, your 100 rupees budget or whatever, I think 60-70% will go as a part of your maintenance, okay? Which is basically, you will keep improvising the journeys of the customer, keep making it better, because that is what is your core operations, and you have to make sure that is always working perfectly fine. 20-25% will go in basically the actual innovation piece, and you can either say it's the same team or you carve out a separate team, and that probably focuses on what is the business of the future kind of a thing, or a completely new kind of solution. And maybe I think 5-10% has to go on killing something which you're already doing, which you should not be doing basically. So can you actually kill certain things which are unnecessarily waste in the system? Can you completely take it out? I think that is where I will say the effort has to go, not necessarily the cost part of it. So if you're talking of cost, it's first two. But in terms of effort, I think these are the three places where I think the effort of the organizations need to go, broadly speaking, if I have to say. NK, please go ahead.
Yeah. So, a slightly difference of opinion. According to me, if we keep on doing same things, we get the same result. And if we get the same results, we don't grow. So our take is different. We want to invest 51% on innovation and 49% on BAU, because if you have to invest 80% on BAU, which means your BAU is not right. Because that BAU you achieved after doing a capex when it was innovation. Okay? So the efficiency is built when you envisaged it. Okay? One thing I agree with Sandeep is this 50 and this 1% which I wanted extra, which I never get, is I achieve by killing the wrong things. Okay? So if I'm a growth focused organization, I have to. And innovation is not that I'm becoming Wright brothers. Okay? Innovation is about also thinking incrementally more to achieve the larger vision. It's not about setting up a Johnson & Johnson or some innovation lab which is hyper technology. Innovation is about taking baby steps. And that's where I feel that 50%, if I'm a growth focused organization and we consider it to be a good cost. So we have a term of a good cost and a bad cost. A cost which has the potential to deliver me 10x of revenue is a good cost, and a cost which delivers me 3x of revenue is a bad cost. So that is where we stand.
And as Mr. Purohit mentioned, from organization-induced digitization, we're moving towards customer-induced digitization. And the future is nothing but ecosystems, collaborating with our competitors and adopting technology that makes us all forge ahead in the right manner. Thank you so much once again, and a big round of applause.